Hey Raiders fans, buckle up because we need to dive deep into what has been an absolutely chaotic season for our Las Vegas Raiders. If you've been following along, you know it's been a roller coaster, but lately it feels more like a free fall with no breaks. I mean, there are moments when you watch a game and wonder if the coaching staff is just guessing, hoping something will stick because the level of confusion on the field has been staggering. It's not just about the losses, it's the way the team has been managed week after week. You watch Pete Carroll, a coach with a Super Bowl ring, and it's hard to comprehend that someone with so much experience is this disconnected from the actual performance of his team. Reading some of the things he says makes you wonder if he's seeing the same games as the rest of us, because calling a poorly executed outing where the team struggles to move the ball a nice accomplishment is baffling. Scoring 14 points and producing under 200 total yards should never be celebrated in professional football, and yet that's the perspective we're being fed. It's astonishing that someone can prioritize communication as an achievement while the fundamentals of the game are being ignored. The roster rotations alone are a headache to follow. One week, a player gets a quarter of the game. The next, he's completely out. Caleb Rogers, Antonio Mafi, Kai Blue Kelly, Darian Porter, Jack Besh, Dante Thornton, J.J. Pages, Lucky Fu. These names bounce in and out of the lineup like a revolving door, and it's not clear what the logic is. When you're trying to develop players, especially rookies, consistency is key. Let them find a rhythm. Let them build confidence in their own abilities. Watching a player like Darian Porter perform well, only to see him benched or limited in snaps, makes you wonder what the coaching staff's real priorities are. And yes, credit to Kai Blue Kelly for making an impressive interception, but moments like that don't justify erratic decisions across the board. You want rookies to grow, to adjust to the speed and complexity of the NFL, and yet they're often shuffled around without explanation. This inconsistency trickles down and affects the morale and performance of the entire offense. Offensively, the team's struggles are glaring. Running the football, which has been a focus all season, continues to be a major issue. Under 100 rushing yards in 10 games is unacceptable for a team that drafted a running back in the first round and invested heavily in building the roster. The offensive line has been inconsistent at best, and the absence of key players like Jackson Powers-Johnson has been a glaring hole. DJ Glaze, who showed promise as a rookie, has regressed significantly, and yet there hasn't been enough accountability from the coaching staff. The decision-making seems muddled, like they're constantly experimenting in live games rather than executing a coherent plan. And when you see Max Crosby lined up at linebacker, you realize the level of improvisation has reached almost absurd levels. A player of his caliber should be utilized in his natural position, yet the staff seems intent on throwing ideas at the wall, hoping something sticks. It's reminiscent of a preseason game where the objective seems less about winning and more about trying out every possible scenario. By December, that approach isn't just questionable, it's detrimental to the team's development and competitiveness. The quarterback situation has been equally frustrating. Geno Smith has shown glimpses of competence, but overall, his play has been erratic and underwhelming. His passing numbers are poor, and his decision-making often leaves you scratching your head. Compounding this is a lack of protection from the offensive line, which has allowed 46 sacks this season, the second most in the league. This is not just about individual talent. It's about systemic issues in coaching, preparation, and execution. When a quarterback faces relentless pressure and poor offensive line performance, the results are predictable, yet there seems to be little acknowledgement of the underlying problems. And when the organization continues to support the same strategies that aren't working, fans' frustrations reach a boiling point. The energy in the stadium reflects this. Watching more opposing fans in our own home stadium than Raiders fans is a stark reminder of the disconnect between the team's management and the fan base. It's one thing to endure losses, but it's another to feel completely alienated from your own team because the people running it seem incapable of making the right adjustments. Coaching philosophy, or rather, the lack of a coherent one, has been central to this chaos. When Pete Carroll claims he is still learning the roster months into the season, it raises serious concerns. By September, A head coach should know the strengths, weaknesses, and potential of his squad. That he is still trying to figure out who belongs on the field and where is indicative of a larger organizational problem. Players aren't developing as they should, games are being lost due to poor planning, and the team's morale is suffering. You see promising talents being mishandled, draft picks not utilized effectively, and veterans losing confidence in the system. The result is a team that underperforms week after week, and the frustration is compounded when leadership fails to take responsibility. Finger-pointing becomes the default, and the fans are left to pick up the pieces emotionally, feeling powerless as the season slips away. It's not just about what's happening on the field either. The culture around the team is faltering. Reports of players preferring road games to home games highlight how deep the dissatisfaction runs. The hostility isn't aimed at teammates. It's directed at the leadership, the coaching, and the systemic failures that permeate the organization. Geno Smith's reluctance, body language, and reported disinterest in remaining with the team reflect a broader issue of alignment and motivation. When leadership cannot inspire confidence or effectively manage the roster, talented players disengage and the team's potential diminishes. The lack of accountability for repeated failures, the inconsistent rotation of players, and the inability to establish a clear identity on offense and defense all contribute to a cycle of disappointment that fans have had enough of. This is why there's a growing consensus that change at the top is not just necessary, but urgent. Moving on from Pete Carroll and his supporting staff, including those directly influencing the offensive line and quarterback performance, is essential if the Raiders hope to regain credibility and competitiveness. Looking at the broader picture, the implications for the future are equally significant. With a poor record this season, the team is positioned for a high draft pick, which could serve as a turning point if utilized correctly. However, the draft alone cannot compensate for systemic coaching failures and poor management decisions. To truly rebuild, there must be a commitment to accountability, clear strategy, and intelligent roster management. Fans are frustrated, players are struggling, and the organization is at a crossroads. Continuing with the same leadership and ineffective approaches risks not only further losses, but also the erosion of support and trust from the fan base. The Raiders have reached a point where incremental improvements are no longer sufficient. Bold decisions and structural changes are needed to reverse the downward trajectory and restore confidence in the team's direction. As we look ahead to the rest of the season, the outlook for the Raiders is grim, and that's putting it mildly. The schedule doesn't get any easier, and realistically, the team is unlikely to notch another win. Matchups against the Broncos, the Eagles, the Texans, the Giants, and ultimately the Kansas City Chiefs are all daunting in their own right, and the Raiders, in their current state, have no clear path to victory. Even teams that seem weaker on paper, like the Giants, are operating at a higher level of cohesion and execution than Las Vegas is right now. This is a team that has struggled with fundamentals week after week, and expecting a sudden turnaround without significant changes at the top is simply unrealistic. The issues aren't just cosmetic, they're systemic, and every snap reflects the disconnect between strategy, talent, and execution. The offensive line remains a glaring weakness that has limited the entire offense. The loss of Jackson Powers-Johnson has been catastrophic, and DJ Glaze's regression has only compounded the problem. It's one thing to see a team lose games, but it's another to see the same mistakes repeated over and over without adjustment. Watching Geno Smith attempt to navigate a collapsing pocket has been painful, and while some blame falls on him, the reality is that the protection in front of him has been insufficient. The offensive line is not just a position group. It's the foundation of the offense, and when it fails, the quarterback, running backs, and even receivers are all negatively affected. Pete Carroll's refusal to adjust the lineup effectively or to hold staff accountable has created a situation where every game is a struggle, and momentum is virtually impossible to build. Meanwhile, the defensive side of the ball has shown flashes of brilliance, but remains inconsistent. Max Crosby is still a force when on the field, but the misalignment of talent and coaching strategy undermines the potential of key players. Seeing him rotated into positions that don't maximize his impact is a symptom of a broader lack of focus and planning. In a league where every detail matters, these choices matter, and they cost the team games. The defense has had moments where it has kept the Raiders in contention, but those moments are fleeting. The lack of a coherent approach from the coaching staff has made it nearly impossible for players to develop consistency or confidence in their schemes. The team's culture and morale are equally troubling. Reports that players prefer road games over home contests highlight how low morale has sunk. Fans' frustration is palpable, and it's now affecting the way the team approaches games. A hostile environment at home stadiums is not only a reflection of fan dissatisfaction, but also a symptom of a leadership failure. When players feel alienated from their own support base, it exacerbates the problems already present on the field. The leadership of the team must be proactive in rebuilding trust and demonstrating that they are committed to making meaningful changes, but so far, those steps have been lacking. The culture of accountability that is necessary for a professional sports team to succeed seems absent, leaving players and fans alike frustrated and disengaged. Looking at individual performances, some players have shown growth and potential, but those developments have often been stifled by inconsistent play calling and mismanagement. Darian Porter, Jack Besh, and other young receivers have shown flashes of promise, but the constant rotation and lack of clear opportunity hinder their ability to establish a rhythm. The rookies, who should be getting consistent reps to learn and develop, are shuffled in and out, and it prevents them from gaining the confidence needed to perform at a high level. It's a cycle that has left fans questioning whether talent alone can overcome the systemic failures that have plagued this season. Even standout plays, like a spectacular interception or a one-handed snag by a tight end, feel like isolated events rather than a reflection of a team capable of competing consistently. The quarterback situation remains a central concern. Geno Smith has struggled with decision-making and accuracy, and the lack of protection has only worsened his situation. His passer rating, under siege from constant pressure, highlights the challenges faced by a quarterback trying to operate behind a compromised line. The combination of pressure, miscommunication, and inconsistent play calling creates a scenario where even competent players struggle to perform. This is not simply about talent. It's about structure and support, which are both missing in key areas. Fans have voiced their frustrations loudly, and it's clear that the team's leadership must make a decisive change if the Raiders hope to rebuild effectively. The implications for the draft are significant. Sitting a high pick in the upcoming NFL draft could be the turning point for the franchise if leveraged wisely. The opportunity to bring in a generational talent at quarterback, offensive line, or another critical position could set the foundation for future success. But drafting alone cannot fix a fundamentally broken system. Without a competent coaching staff that can develop talent, establish effective schemes, and manage personnel intelligently, even the most promising draft picks are at risk of underperforming. The Raiders need a holistic approach that addresses coaching, strategy, and culture simultaneously, or else they risk repeating the same mistakes in future seasons. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a development that has sent ripples through the league, a heated outburst from Raiders head coach Pete Carroll has ignited a wave of speculation and hushed conversations across practice facilities and front offices. According to people close to the situation, Carroll erupted behind closed doors, reportedly shouting, "I don't want him here ever again." The remark, sharp enough to slice through the usual cloak of locker room secrecy, has quickly become the center of a growing storm of rumors. No one inside the organization is willing to speak on the record, but whispers suggest the coach's frustration has been building for weeks. Some insiders claim the tension stems from a clash of personalities, while others hint at deeper disagreements over preparation, discipline, or commitment. Whatever triggered the eruption, it was strong enough that several players allegedly paused mid-meeting, stunned by the rare display of unfiltered anger from a coach known for his upbeat energy and relentless optimism. Around the team facility, quiet conversations are turning into outright speculation. Some believe Carroll's words were directed at a high-profile player who has recently tested the coaching staff's patience. Others suspect the target may not even be a player, but a staff member whose decisions have quietly undermined Carroll's authority. The Raiders, maintaining their usual tight-lipped stance, have offered no clarification, leaving everyone to piece together clues from body language, practice rotations, and the sudden, conspicuous absence of certain figures. What makes the situation even more intriguing is how quickly the atmosphere around the team has shifted. Players walking into the facility appear more guarded. Assistants seem unusually hurried, and even veteran leaders are said to be choosing their words carefully. Some league observers are calling this a temporary flare-up, the kind that surfaces in every competitive locker room. Others believe this is only the beginning of a much larger internal shakeup. For now, Carroll's furious declaration hangs over the Raiders like a storm cloud, fueling theories, whispers, and a growing sense that something significant is brewing behind the scenes. The team may not be ready to address it publicly, but the rumor mill has already kicked into overdrive, and it shows no signs of slowing down. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.